Hey, what's going on everyone? Travis here, and recently we had the opportunity to try out the YoloBox Live right here. We are currently using this guy, the Sling Studio, for our live streaming. The main thing I was wanting to find out was how this compared to this. And so I took some time doing a little bit of research, kind of comparing the two, and I put all my notes together and I wanted to share them with you. There's a lot of overlap in what these do. They just do it a little bit differently. So overall, the whole concept of the YoloBox and the Sling Studio is to give you the opportunity to do a live stream while still being minimal, leaving a smaller footprint than say some of the bigger, more expensive devices that are out there. Both of these have a fairly low entry level to get into. I will say the YoloBox is way more affordable, but it could get pricey mattering on some of the upgrades, which we'll get into later. Pretty much all of 2020, we relied on the Sling Studio. We have really enjoyed our time with Sling Studio, but it is not perfect by any means. So one of the reasons why we had invested in it was because we wanted to have something very minimal if we were going to be using this for weddings. I love the wireless packs that come with this. That's the thing that kind of sold me on the Sling Studio, was that we weren't going to have to run cords everywhere. We were going to be able to wirelessly connect, and it's all made for the Sling Studio. No third party, adding in wireless HDMI and stuff like that. You got this, you have a battery pack that you can plug into the bottom. You got all your options here on the back. So I can plug into the wall, add in a SD card in the front. I could add a USB in the back. I can run an HDMI in. So say I only have like 2 wireless packs and I still want a third camera, boom, I just plug it in, we're good to go. And then you can also run an HDMI out. Now, the only thing that it doesn't have, that the Yolo does have, is an Ethernet cord. Which is fine. There is an adapter you can buy. It's a USB-C, and then that comes out and you plug your Ethernet in. But it's crazy that there wasn't enough room to just pop one of those on there. Now, where this gets more complicated, obviously you cannot do mixing with this. There's no screen on here. Whereas the YoloBox, you have a screen ready to go for you. So with the Sling, you do need an extra accessory, which could get expensive mattering on what you want. So that would be an iPad or a Mac laptop. For some reason, you cannot use Sling Studio with a Android or Windows tablet. You can use them for filming, but you cannot use them for mixing, which is a huge bummer to me. Whereas with the YoloBox, you don't need an iPad, you don't need a laptop, you don't need anything like that. That screen is there for you to do your mixing. As far as the interface, I'm not a huge fan of either. They both get the job done. They get the job done well. It's pretty easy for just someone that's new to it to pick it up and learn how to use it. But if I would have to choose one that I prefer, I think I would have to go with the Sling Studio. The audio mixing, though it's not perfect, I think it works a little better than it does on the YoloBox. At the end of the day, I think it is kind of user preference. I might prefer the Sling because I started with that. Maybe if I used the YoloBox a lot this year, maybe it would grow on me. But if I had to choose one that I prefer better for the interface, I'd have to give the slight advantage to the Sling. Now, when it comes to the logistics of getting on the internet, as I had mentioned, the Sling Studio, you would need an adapter to do Ethernet, and I highly always recommend plugging in via Ethernet. If you don't have access to Ethernet, both of these have an option to do Wi-Fi. I would say because it is an all-in-one device, the YoloBox is easier to connect to Wi-Fi. With the Sling Studio, you gotta kind of connect your iPad, connect the Sling, there's just more steps involved. Definitely the advantage the YoloBox has is the ability to do a SIM card. Now, I know with an iPad you could get cellular data, but it's just kind of nice to have this device, pop in your SIM card, you're good to go, and you're able to connect to mobile data. For us, we don't have an iPad with cellular data, so when we run into a situation where we don't have Ethernet and we don't have Wi-Fi, we've had to use our phone's hotspot, which gets the job done. It's just another thing that we have to worry about bringing. So definitely the YoloBox is the easier one to kind of set up and get going right away. There is one thing that the YoloBox has that the Sling doesn't, and that is the ability to review comments as they're coming in on the YoloBox. This is really cool, especially cool for someone who's maybe like a one-man, two-man band, and they do not have the option of, you know, having their phone out, watching the comments, watching the stream, mixing the cameras. There's a screen right in front of your camera and you can see the comments. So if you screwed up your audio and everyone's letting you know, you'll know right away instead of having to look at your phone and you notice it 10 minutes too late. Okay, so one thing that I do really like about the Sling Studio, though I don't necessarily always use it, is the ability to have a Premiere file given to you after the fact. So Premiere has a plugin for Sling Studio. You could actually import in all the cuts you made and it's all there for you in the timeline. As far as I see, the YoloBox, though it does give you a file, it's not giving you like a editing file, it's just giving you the video file. So that's definitely an upper hand of the Sling if you're doing stuff where you want to be able to go back in and change things up. Great. If you know that your stream is perfect, then the YoloBox is totally fine for that. So which one's better? It's really hard to say. It matters what you are looking to do with your streaming device. If you're looking for something that it's pretty much ready to go once you get the box, definitely the YoloBox is the way to go. It is so compact, so simple, and there's really nothing extra you would need. It even comes with HDMI, different cameras that have something other than a regular HDMI, you will need to get an adapter or get an extra cord for that. What's cool too is with the USB, if say you just have like a webcam laying around that's USB, boom, you just plug that in and you can use that. Maybe not the best quality, but it does work. You could even say get a capture card and you could hook up one of your, you know, mirrorless DSLR cameras and use that for a third angle. It does not come with a wireless option that is on brand. And so that means you would need to find some kind of third-party wireless HDMI solution, which there are a bunch out there, and I will include those in the description below. But I don't know if I could say that would be as reliable as having the Sling Studio. Now for us doing weddings and the way that we film weddings, we definitely can use those wireless receivers, and they're kind of a necessity for us. So there's pluses and minuses to both. It really matters what you're looking to do with it. You really can't go wrong with either. And for us, I think we will stick it out with the Sling Studio and keep using that as our main option for live streaming weddings. But I definitely love the idea of having the YoloBox as a backup. I'm also considering maybe using this instead for things like conferences or smaller setups, you know, whenever we do streams. But for the more complicated stuff, I think we'll prefer to stick with the Sling Studio. I would love to hear if you have used both the Sling Studio and the YoloBox, and I would love to hear which one you prefer better, and let me know why too. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.